Hello, everybody. This is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Part 4, Chapter 13. Levin resisted the temptation to follow Kitty into the drawing room after leaving the table, lest she should be offended by too marked attention from him. He remained with the men and took part in the general conversation, but without looking at Kitty he saw every motion that she made and knew just where she was in the drawing room. And first he fulfilled, without the least effort, the promise that he made to love his neighbor and to think nothing but good of him. The conversation turned on the commune in Russia, which Pestsov considered as the new order of things, destined to serve as an example to the rest of the world. Levin agreed as little with him as he did with Sergei Ivanovitch, who recognized at the same time denied the value of this institution, but he tried to reconcile them by toning down the terms which they used without showing the least partiality in the discussion. His one desire was to see both of them happy and contented. The one person from henceforth of any importance to him was coming near the door. He felt a look and a smile fixed upon him, and was obliged to look around. She was standing there with Sherbatsky, and looking at him. "I thought you were going to sit down at the piano," said he, approaching her. "Music's what I have to do without in the country." "No, we merely came to find you, and I thank you for coming to us," she replied, recompensing him with a smile. "What pleasure can there be in discussing? Nobody is ever convinced." "Ah, how true it is." Levin had so many times noticed the long discussions with great efforts to be logical and a great waste of words often produced no result, that he was delighted to hear Kitty express his thoughts so exactly. Sherbatsky stepped away, and the young girl, going to a card table, sat down, and taking a piece of chalk in her hand, began to draw circles on the cloth. "Ugh, I've covered the table with my scrawls," said she, laying down the chalk after a moment's silence, with a movement, as if she were going to rise. "What shall I do to stay with her?" thought Levin, terrified. "Wait," said he, sitting down near the table. "I've wanted for a long time to ask you something." He looked at her fondly, but a little disturbed. "What is it?" "This is it," said he, taking the chalk and writing the letters WYSIIWIITOA ? These letters were the initials of the words. When you said, "It is impossible," was it impossible then, or always? It was not at all likely that Kitty would be able to make out this complicated question. Levin looked at her, nevertheless, as though his life depended on whether she could guess these words. She studied it seriously, resting her forehead on her hand, and gave her whole attention to deciphering it, interrogating Levin occasionally with her eyes. "I know what it is," said she, blushing. "What's this word?" he asked, pointing to the I of the word impossible. "That letter stands for impossible." "Well, the word's not right," she replied. He quickly rubbed out what he had written and gave the chalk to her. She wrote TICNAD. Dolly, seeing her sister with the chalk in her hand, a timid and happy smile on her lips, raising her eyes to Levin, who was leaning over the table, beaming now at her, now at the cloth, felt consoled for her conversation with Alexey Alexandrovitch. She saw Levin light up with joy. He understood the reply. Then I could not answer differently. He looked at Kitty timidly and inquiringly. "Only then?" "Yes," replied the young girl's smile. "And now?" he asked. "Read this. I'll tell you what I wish." And she quickly traced the initials of the words. "That you can forgive and forget." He seized the chalk in turn, with his excitement trembling fingers, and replied in the same way. "I've never ceased to love you." Kitty looked at him, and her smile died away. "I understand," she murmured. You are playing secretaire, are you? Said the old prince, coming up to them. No, but if you are going to the theatre, the time is to start. Levin rose and accompanied Kitty to the door. This conversation decided everything. Kitty had acknowledged her love for him, and had given him permission to come the next morning to speak to her parents.